Hello and welcome to Creative Sparkle. My name's Holly and today we're going to be doing an art journal prompt list. So grab your art supplies and let's get crafting. So just beginning with the first prompt, which is to prime the background as needed. If you're working in a normal journal, then don't worry about priming the page if you don't want to. We're going to be working with paint, but I'm just priming because I'm working in a recycled book as per usual. So moving on to the second prompt, we have make random cuts into a sponge and use it to print ink or paint over the background. So I make random cuts with some scissors into a normal kitchen sponge. It is clean. You can use any sponge that you want. It doesn't have to be a kitchen sponge, so anything that you can find to use, and just make random cuts in it and then we'll use it to print onto the page. I'm going to be using a lovely dark blue colour, which I'll show you in just a moment, and I'm going to dip the sponge into the paint and then print it onto the page. So once I've finished printing with the sponge, unfortunately I realised that it's not quite what I'm looking for. So I decided to do a layer of paint just on top, just to fill out those white gaps. I'm not a big fan of the white that we can see there. So I'm just taking some acrylic paint and watering it down in the hopes that I'll be able to get a wash over the top. Now, when I say in the hopes of getting a wash over the top, that's not quite what happened. If you can see, the colours seem to be blending. So I tried with a baby wipe to wipe it away, and that wasn't working. It was messing it up even more. So I decided to dry it all and reapply a full coat of paint and start again with my sponge. So again, I'm printing with my sponge onto the page. So now that we've got a background that actually works, we'll move on to the third prompt. So prompt number 3 is to add confetti and or glitter to 3 parts of the page. So I've decided to use this detail applicator for the glue, and I'm going to be adding glitter just because it's a bit finer and the patterns might come out a bit better. I'm not sure if you don't have glitter, you don't have to use glitter. You can use some punches and punch out your own confetti. If you have leftover confetti from somewhere, you can use that. I'm just using glitter because I have quite a selection that was a gift. So I'm going to be using glitter on this page. So I'm just making it look a bit seaweedy because I want to have more of an aqua theme. So I've chosen 3 different glitters here, a dark green and like a middle turquoisey greeny blue colour, and then a white as well, and I'm just using all 3 of those to add the colour to the page. And then I'll get an empty pot as well, so when all these colours have been applied, I'll shake them off and put the rest of the glitter excess into a spare pot so that I can save it for later. So after applying the glue for seaweed, I decided to do for the third part, some circles just to make it look maybe a bit like bubbles at the top. So I've chosen 3 separate parts of the page to add those circles through a stencil, and then I'll add the same colour glitter that I did before. Just show you the effect of the glitter and move on to the prompt number 4, which is combine a focal image and a piece of ephemera and stick it to the page. I've chosen some mermaids that I found online and these shells for the ephemera. So I'm going to be using my Big Shot to cut out these shells with the die cut that I have. So I'll just run that through. I'm going to do it with several different colours just so I've got some options depending on how my colouring of my mermaids comes out. some shells ready now, and I'm going to be starting colouring my mermaids. I bought these mermaids as a digital stamp, and I've just listed the name of the shop in the bottom right hand corner on the screen, and I've also put a link to the Etsy shop in the description below the video, so that if you do decide that you want to purchase these stamps, gorgeous stamps, and there are plenty of others, not just mermaids, I will put that link in below for you. So I've coloured the stamps, and I've chosen just to go with 2 of them because I thought the page was a bit too busy having 3, and then adding the shells on there as part of the prompt. So after sticking those down, we'll move on to prompt number 5. So use a sponge or blending tool to add shadows and tints. So when I'm trying to blend with these colours, it's not working for me, so I decide then to move on to a permanent marker. So the marker that I use is very dark blue, and after I'd already started, I can see that I can't blend this marker. So unfortunately, I'm just going to have to work with what I've done. So I'm not happy with the outlines, but unfortunately it's just going to have to be part of my project. Now I do go back with the Distress ink just to have some shadows around the seaweed, and do a bit more around the mermaids as well. So moving on to prompt number 6, we're going to be using stickers, gems, punches, or pearl drops to add interest to the page. So I've chosen to use pearl drops, and I've got these 3 different colours, which I've chosen because they are very cohesive with the glitter that I've used. So I'm going to be adding them around the places that I've added the glitter, just so it adds a bit more dimension to the page. I also decided to add a little bit of shine to the mermaid's eyes, so just pop those on there. And then moving on to prompt number 7, we'll add doodles and or Zentangles to the page. So just getting a pen or a brush and adding some lines here and there. I add some colour to the mermaid's eyes because I noticed that I hadn't done that, so I've just got a metallic green gel pen and I'm adding those in. And then I'm going to use a white gel pen just to add highlights around the shells, the seaweed and the bubbles at the top that are in glitter. So I'll just show you the results of that. Moving on to prompt number 8. Choose a ready printed title or word from a book or magazine for the spread. So you just need to cut it out of a book or magazine, whatever words that you think are appropriate for your page. And as you can see here, I've chosen from a magazine. So I'll just get those stuck down, and then we can move on to prompt number 9. So prompt number 9 is to dip string, twine or thread into ink and drag over the page to add interest. So this particular prompt, actually, I attempted with drawing ink. It was the only ink I had to be able to dip into, so I used a string, dipped it in, and decided to try and drag it over the page. And knocked the camera at the same time, sorry about that. And unfortunately, trying to drag it over the page to add interest didn't actually work. I've tried pressing onto it, pulling it off. Paper looks great, but my journal doesn't. So I tried adding black ink to the blue to try and make it a bit more bold, and that also didn't work. So unfortunately, I am having to skip this step. If you can manage to get it to work, great, that's absolutely fantastic, but unfortunately my results didn't turn out very well. So that step is skipped for myself. So after cleaning that up, prompt 10 is to add corners to frame the page, either attach or freehand. So I decided to start off by freehanding, adding more of this marker that I used earlier just to try and pull the page together a bit. So I'll outline the top left and the bottom right corners and the words that I've got on the page, and then decide to come with a stencil that I have, and it's a huge corner stencil, but I'm just going to be using the centre of it, just the small amount there, and then once I've printed that on with the blue ink, I'll then go over with a white gel pen to make it more cohesive with the seaweed outlines that I did earlier. after finishing doing those little outlines of the pattern, and that is the end of the prompt list, but I did decide to add something else just to make the page a bit more to my liking. And so I'm just adding these 2 shells, and I'm going to stick them down and then add the blue marker and a little bit of white highlight like I did with the other things on the page. So that's the end of the video. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll give you some pictures of the finished product. If you liked the video, please press like and subscribe and share with your friends. If you do decide that you want to take part in the prompt list, that would be great. If you want to tag me on Instagram with #sparkleprompts, I'll put the hashtag in the description below. Don't forget the full prompt list is at the end of the video, so you can pause it and make a note of them so you can do them together with me. So thanks again for joining me today. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment box below, and I will see you next time. Bye!